Alright, so I'm just going to continue the analysis, which is again, overall, expecting a lot more downside in cryptos. This is a Zcash chart. Um, and I have this big head and shoulders that's in this flag, and it looks like it's about to break down, which kind of makes this a great opportunity to short, because it's so overvalued relative to everything else. It's kind of like shorting from a moving board. And I think a lot of that delay was because it surged on this Coinbase news, on certain Coinbase news. Which, again, allows the possibility that Zcash catch down in price. Meaning, like, one thing I want to say is I don't want to talk. It's very tempting to say like things like Zcash catch down as if it's gonna act independently of anybody, but it's really that people will want to sell short Zcash just because it's so high relative to the ones that are so much lower. And so I think that that has a very good chance of happening, and as a result, Zcash may be like a great short for people who have not started shorting yet. The one risk is that there's going to be more Coinbase news that comes out that could result in further spikes. To an extent, though, if Bitcoin is really falling hard, I don't think that will necessarily have a big market effect on Zcash. So this is reacting off this support. I don't really think it's necessarily gonna hold. You're getting, this is on a daily chart. Yeah, okay, so there's a bounce at this horizontal, at the prior lows. Meaning people are buying this at these prior lows and they're using that as support to buy. I don't think that that is necessarily gonna have a serious effect on a long-term basis. I think this is fairly short-term. I'm looking for you know, anything that, like, I guess, was there like divergence in this or whatever to indicate that this would be like a temporary low. I guess you could say that, not really. I mean, there's lower volume here because I guess if people want to short or sell into support. So you're getting that reaction, but it's not really strong to the upside. guess on a shorter term basis, I can see if there's divergence on the second leg up. I would think there's a little bit, not really. That divergence will only determine if this high is not gonna last. I don't really have enough to go by. A little bit, the volume here is lower than here, this rise, by a little bit. It's not all that great, but there was this failure to continue higher. You got, at this support, more buyers came in because it was better, like, I guess closer to support to take this higher. But now you have that measured move of that being target based on this distance being equal to that distance. And now that that's over, there's good reason to believe that a lot of the upside has dissipated.
Very drastic has happened. It is unimaginable.
This is EOS. So again, what am I expecting? Well, support is down here. I would think that this is gonna pull back to some degree before another attempt higher. I am inclined to think it's not gonna last, but that's my view right now. On a long-term chart, the EOS, it's broken down this support trend line, and that led to like a big initial fall. But that's just the first fall. I think that there's a lot more that people are gonna sell this for, because that trend line is gonna bring in a lot of shorts. That low, I just want to keep in mind, just because it's this major low and this area, so I think a lot of people, I think there's going to be some buying there, basically. And so I don't want to just be completely blind to it or forget it, though I think it will depend on where Bitcoin is. And so this can easily just fall through, and I think that's very possible if Bitcoin breaks through like the upper 5Ks, that there could be a big move down, and this might not really hold anything at all. So I also am watching out for that. Meaning, no one is going to want to buy EOS, really. I don't know, like in that kind of scenario, and this might just fall through with just a minor bounce. Some people trying to catch, thinking that's going to be a low, but I don't think it's going to be really all that important.
ya no puedo jamás con tu amor. No me digas lo siento, dejaste de amar hace tiempo. Mientras escucho no me da igual, juro que nada parece normal. No me digas lo siento, dejaste de amar hace tiempo. Mientras escucho no me da igual, juro que nada parece normal.
Be an effective leader, you have to be a really good listener. And not to what's being said, but to what's not being said. You have to be really observant. And you have to, that was a big transition for me. I went from being a scorer and a floor general to now, with Powell and Lamar trying to win other championships, to being a leader. And that meant putting others first. That means not worrying about are you in rhythm? Are you playing well in this game? Are you ready to go? To me, are they ready? What can I do to help them be ready? Right? That's the big transition to make. Right? You got to observe them because they all have things that they want to accomplish as individuals. And as a leader, you're like, okay, what are those things? And how can I help them accomplish that within the system and structure that we are trying to do collectively?
One thing is, I guess this isn't necessarily all that bearish by itself. Just because it's a trendline break, it doesn't mean that it's projecting like, way down. But this is like a bit of the start of the trendline break, and it looks like it's at least gonna head down to here. Meaning, I think people are gonna sell it down to here. I do think because of the other patterns that have formed up, it shows that a lot of people are going to be selling, and I think a lot of traders are going to be also shorting because of the way things look chart-wise. So that's what I'm looking for. On a daily chart, I don't really see anything. I mean, we've hit some kind of support, but this is the bigger support. It's not really support, it just kind of stops. Unless this is a pivot point or something that I don't know of. We drop down to there. Here. And we had this sort of reversal candle, but it hasn't really created a reversal, and so that's certainly not bullish. There is a tiny bit of divergence. I don't think it's enough to really mean that there's going to be a huge reversal here or that people are going to buy. I don't think a lot of people are going to use that as buying. Some people are, and that's having a little, but I think the trend is still down. Like, people are selling so much that I don't think that's going to be able to really do much more than a little bit. Then on a 2-hour chart, it's like some attempt higher, but it fell so much that this looks very weak, and this looks like it could do this. Certainly if it gets here, that would be the measured move of this, and that would be a short place. but it could totally fail here. And here also, if this happened within like this 2-hour period, that's the close 2-hour Bollinger Band, that's gonna bring in a lot of selling, people selling that. And so I need to keep that in mind, so that if if it looks like there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna sell there, if I can be one of the first, that follow-up selling, that's gonna take price down, and then I'll make whatever difference that is. Sort of like front running, but it's normal trading, meaning not a guarantee like front running is, but acting on probabilities, and over time I'll make more than I lose, and that's what trading really is about. Anything else that I could probably look to as important? This is a Neo chart. And Neo is broken down from this big triangle. That's bad drawing, but you can see that on this 3-day chart. And certainly it's breaking down to new lows. We've certainly broken this horizontal support, which is a pretty big deal. And you know, it's just tumbling. This is a daily chart. We had the breakdown, and this stop hunted everybody out. That really scared me, where people were buying this, and people had stop losses up, so orders kept getting triggered, buy all the way up, causing that big spike. But I think that seems to have been very mitigated. Pulled back down, failure to continue any higher at this resistance, this other trend line, and then we had the break through and bear flagged, and where there was some slight buying but not real buying before price broke down, and it's just been tumbling ever since. And I cover that in prior videos, because what is a bear flag? Bear flag is prices rising higher but on very little volume, and as it gets closer, because it's not, I guess, where people would sell, but as it gets closer to a big sell point, then there's gonna be a lot more people who want to sell en masse, or like there's some people trying to buy it, but it's not really strong, and it's waiting for like not just Neo getting to a point where Neo's people would want to like sell, but especially if you look at happen like basically at that same trend line, but where like once a lot of other cryptos got to resistance, and if I zoom in, alright, 4 hours, there's not really anything that I could look at that's all that important. I'm just looking for more downside. certainly there's not as much volume on this entire. It doesn't look strong at all. It looks like this could be another bear fly until we get slightly to like a sell point, like a fib area, like the 382 Fibonacci level, or the 0.5, or the 50%. And so there's going to be some people trying to buy this up, and not a lot. And it's not a place where people are like, I want to sell, because they think other people are going to come in and start selling strongly. But we're getting close to that point. Yeah, so I don't know, but certainly, you know, this measured move will be a sell point where I think there's going to be a lot more sellers, and then at this, a little higher at this reversal, that resistance, that was prior support. So this can creep up until then. On this 3-day chart, I can clearly see this head and shoulders. That has broken down very clearly, very clearly. Any pullback, I think, any pullback. So this is a pattern that shows like just that the buying was strong until it weakens considerably, and then this trend line means that a lot of people are going to start selling now that that trend line seems to be very clearly broken. So the way this looks, it's like this fall in price is just getting started. So this could be pretty freaking considerable. So I am looking for a lot more downside. But this broke temporarily. It faked me out, and then there was all this Coinbase type shit that was coming out. We had this big reversal from this resistance, because yeah, sellers would be here, and it's important to mark out where are where people have marked out, where are this, because they have marked out in advance, and I need to do that too. Where they're gonna sell, because the people who shorted this, they made a lot of money. Yeah. But I also require not shorting this prematurely, to have the wherewithal to not already be in and to be dealing with a loss at this point. But now that that was broken, we have a very clear lower low. So any approach of this, there's going to be a lot of selling there. People are going to sell this. They're going to short this a lot. A lot. Yeah. You just seem to have a lot. So on this pullback, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity to sell and to get short. There, if that happens, I think that is kind of asking too much, because I'm not sure if Bitcoin is really going to get back up to like 6,600, let's say. But certainly, you know, you have to decide, and I have to, whether I want to short here or wait for this and potentially miss this area being a top. Or I could not short yet and just wait, look at short-term price action. If I start seeing lower lows and things turning down across the board, then I can get in short. And if I use leverage, that diminishes the ability to really just short here and just very easily hold through this kind of pullback. So a lot of this depends. This looks a bit early because this was a big fall for there not to be a bigger pullback. But it's really hard to say because things look very bearish, and this I think in a non-crashing market could easily happen, but I'm not sure if there's a lot of buyers here. I think there'd be some profit taking, which is also what creates bear flags. There's slight profit taking up, but not real buying in force. But I don't know if there's going to be like a big move up. That looks or sounds a bit unlikely. Though the people often trade Bitcoin, Cash, Ethereum Classic differently, and this could jump up. So what I could do is have limit orders in case and otherwise be willing to miss it. But being willing to miss things is an important ability in trading. That's where like the whole patience things comes in, because I'll make more and I'll also lose less if the trade doesn't work, though I don't think that will happen. But if I short here and it pulls back, it can affect my ability to put on more size, and I might freak panic and get out here only to see price fall there, and that happens a lot in trading. So it's important where you get in, unless you use very little like only a small position basically. Well, but I want to make a lot, so I have to be careful about where I'm getting in. So we'll see. This place will certainly be a big short. That's closer to, that's a little over 14. That's where a lot of people will be selling. There's not necessarily going to be as much here. It will depend on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin starts failing significantly, that will. And then this is where I think a lot of people are going to sell. And so, because I think a lot of people are going to sell, I want to be ready to sell if it does get there. But to have that, that means I can't really short at these other places. I think in general for day trading, I have to be willing to miss that. But because this is a crash situation and it's very strong, I might not want to wait for that and really just be able to get in because that's what I'm expecting, essentially. And if I'm asleep and this starts falling, I'll miss it. So at least I want to make sure I have something in before I go to sleep. Certainly this is a reversal candle of some kind. I just don't think it's gonna like be a huge thing. So So yeah. That's basically it. On short term, I can just see if there's anything that can help me figure out if people are gonna start selling it sooner. There's nothing here to necessarily indicate it. Maybe go to a 4 hour. Yeah, so what am I looking for? This is trending up. It's just I don't know how long this will continue. But again, I'm looking at opportunities to sell this, and I think max risk even from here is like 15%, which with no leverage is fine. But this could fail at any time, or, you know, there and the other areas where I said would be this. This would be a big short area. So it requires waiting. But if this does this, where they're selling, but more buying, it might scrunch up into a triangle until it breaks out one way, and then it's very clear that there's the selling is more powerful, and then all the bulls, the buyers, are gonna give up and liquidate and maybe even go short, and that can kickstart the next drop. So we'll see. Yeah, there's nothing, it's too hard to tell right now, but it's just the trend is up. This is Bitcoin Gold. Nothing all that important except that, you know, it's broken down from this clear channel, bear flag. How far can this pull up? There's nothing all that helpful necessarily to say. Except this is attempting to make a second high or continue higher, and when I zoom in, it looks certainly like sellers are coming in. This looks very weak. It looks like it's failing. So I guess this could be a reason to not wait for this and put on a partial short, because it looks like the buyers may not be strong enough to take this higher, and that in number, and that's what I thought, and we just got more red. Certainly it doesn't look good for the bulls. Very clear bear flag on Ripple. And Litecoin is at a sell point. Oh, Litecoin's pulled back quite a bit. So I'm gonna end this for now, and maybe I'll have another video going over a bit more stuff in detail, like Litecoin, later on. Okay.